Welcome to the Brewtiful Game. As always, I am Blake here with Ferris.
Hola.
And Ron.
What's happening?
As we return from being bummed because Premier League ended, and then they already put out a tweet that's like it's in 1 month,
20 days
3 weeks or something. I don't know.
Or...
It's like, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's very, very soon. But stuff has happened in the meantime. Ron was gallivanting around the world. That's no shocker. Then he overflowed his toilet and flooded his house out.
Wasn't the toilet?
Oh, it wasn't?
So he says.
It wasn't.
So
you were there.
I was there.
Then
I couldn't figure out where water was coming from the longest time. I spent about 2 hours. Where you were in some place, Japan, China. Yeah, you were somewhere. And I'm over there. I'm trying to help move stuff out of the studio because like we're currently at the Brewtiful Game bar at my place because Ron floor looks like cement has just been scraped across the entire floor. It's yeah. So I was over there one night and I was trying to help move everything out of there so that they can come in the next day and tear up the floor in there to figure out where the water is coming from. Well, me and his wife spent about an hour and a half trying to figure out where this damn water kept seeping from underneath the thing. It turned out to be a bad pump that they were using to help extract the water. So it was just the water everywhere.
Yeah, it was so bad that there was standing water under the tile in almost my entire house.
Wow.
And here's another head
Have fun
scratcher.
for you while you're in Japan.
I know, right? So I'm jet lagged, so that helped because then, I was just awake at night when my wife was calling me. But all the DIY people in the audience, whoever owned this house put vinyl asbestos tiles down on top of the concrete.
That's always a good idea.
And glued them down.
Oh.
Then the next people said, well, we don't like this floor, so we're going to put tile down. So they put tile down and they bonded it to the vinyl asbestos tiles. They didn't pull up.
As you do.
Hey, once you invest in that asbestos, you don't want to let it go.
Right? So then the people who flipped it and we bought it from put the laminate flooring over the tile, over the asbestos.
People love them some asbestos.
So when you get your floor redone, your house is going to feel taller. It's going to be like a foot higher.
Right? Oh, my God. So we had standing water under all of the tile because the tile didn't. Go figure, when they put the ceramic tile on top of the vinyl asbestos tile, it didn't bond properly. Well, no Sherlock. So we had standing water under there, and they were calling me in the middle of the night, my time, saying, like, how far should we rip up the floor? And I was like, you just keep going till you don't find water anymore. And so everything but our kitchen and one of the bedrooms is ripped up. It's good times. Good times.
That's why Ron was like, can we please get a pod in? I need beer desperately.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
And carpet under my feet.
Oh, yeah,
geez.
good times.
He's just walking around in slippers in the house the whole time. And like,
yeah. And then the even more fun part was I got home, or just before I got home, I realized that I have family coming into town and they were supposed to be staying with us. So then I had to scramble at the last minute to find him a hotel and deal with the whole red carpet rate thing for Universal and get all that squared away. And then I got home and was entertaining family while the floors are ripped up and dealing with the insurance people. And
literally your eyes twitching while you're trying to hang out with people.
Yeah. Good times.
Well,
so beer and soccer talk is much needed.
Well, hey, if you're excited, there's plenty of exciting things to talk about, like Man City buying a treble. I noticed Ferris didn't put that down for his tagline, but I feel like that's the headline. Oh, I can feel Eric staring at me right now. I can feel your brother-in-law just glaring at me.
I hope it gets iced wherever he's at. I hope he just got iced right now.
Yes. Also, we're going to talk about the red, the white, and the blue. I noticed Ferris and I are in matching USA kits.
We are.
As we talk about the men's national team as well as the U.S. women's national team, as their World Cup roster was just announced, and then we lost some folks that won't make it too on there, which stinks. And how can we forget to discuss the return of Gregg Berhalter as head coach of the men's national team. And I'm going to take my shirt off again now. No, I'll leave it. I'll leave it on. We'll get to that conversation in a minute. Then our Pennsylvanian pepperonian of the pork tips pronounces his news of pints and brews as we get the addition of Ron's beer news back to the pod. He's making up for a not. I guess we didn't have one because we did the Premier League wrap up. So we got a bunch of beer news, and then finally we're going to close the pod with a Saudi Arabia edition of the La Liga's Roundup. So when you're at Ferris's place, you can get that sound cue right on cue.
Ron's like ready to go. He's been itching for that sound effect.
Yeah, I've been practicing on the road so I can redeem myself.
So for the La Liga's Roundup, you mean?
There we go. Well, hey, let's get to some beer then. And I'm so excited because you gentlemen, we're all having a beer together. A mutual friends of ours were up visiting where I'm living up now in East Tennessee, and they had taken a vacation in Gatlinburg. I went to meet them at the Gatlinburg Brewery, which is a great brewery, really good wood-fired pizzas, and the wings, spot on. And they've got some really good beer, and it's right in the middle of sort of touristy Gatlinburg. So my initial gut reaction was, I don't know. It's probably not fair, but a lot of times I just think that it's not going to be great. We went there shortly after having moved to the area. Flipping delicious. And what's nice is there's another one near me that I don't have to go into all the tourist stuff to get to. Really, really good food. The beer's really, really good. But they have had one. Every time I go, I don't order it, but I see it sitting in their cooler because they make all sorts of fun stuff. Ron, on ESB you'd really dig, but that's not what we're having today.
Love a good ESB.
If we're going to talk American soccer, we got us a very American beer, and that is from Gatlinburg Brewing Company, their Gatty Light.
Yes. Yeehaw!
That might be one of my favorite craft brew names ever. This is literally just a drinkable, light American lager. You know what we're talking about, Bud Light, Miller Light, but it's like the craft beer version. I don't know what this is going to taste like. My father-in-law was in town. I was like, I couldn't figure out why I only had 3 of these instead of the 4-pack. And then I remembered when he visited, he was like, he doesn't like hop. He doesn't like anything crazy remotely. I was like, oh, wait, I've got this. And he had it and said, this is great. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to
go, boys. This could go either way.
It could go right. It could go either way. It's kind of like,
Ron's probably going to hate it.
It'll be fresh, right?
Why?
As opposed to a Bud Light.
Why do you automatically assume that?
Because the last time you guys did a light lager.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were. All sorts of.
Which one was it?
All of the above.
Yeah.
And you never even finished it.
You didn't. And we were very mad at you.
GB Light. It was the GB Light.
That was actually terrible.
Yeah.
Well, now that's funny. It was you say it was a GB Light?
Mm-hmm.
Because technically this is Gatlinburg Brewing, so it's GB Light too. It's the Gatty Light.
GB Light Part 2.
I do just want to say this real quick. I went to their website, gatlinbrewing.company.com, and I love this. Our story by Steve Wilson. My passion for craft beer began. This is so great because you can already know the time period. My passion for craft beer began during an Outcast concert at Forecastle Festival. Anyone who knows me personally knows how value-driven I am, parentheses cheap. Pabst Blue Ribbon and Sierra Nevada Torpedo, both in 16-ounce cans at the festival, were the only beer to be had. With only $1 difference between the two and almost double the ABV, my choice of Torpedo was a foregone conclusion. After cracking open that can of God's sweet nectar, I was hooked. The funky in-your-face aroma, looking around for the joint as I smelled it from the hops had me mesmerized. After the journey home, I was on a mission. Over the ensuing months, I enjoyed so many different beers of all styles and gained north of 40 pounds. Somewhere along the way, I wondered why in an area with such an up-and-coming alcohol culture is there no locally brewed beer? I decided to change that and take my passion for craft brew to the next level. Next few years involved a ton of learning, brewing good beer, great beer, and garbage beer. Quickly found myself no longer home brewing with a great friend, but professionally brewing with some of the area's most respected brewers. Humbled to have worked alongside, in my opinion, some of the greats. Many mistakes, failures, fights, new relationships, and great times litter my memory for this ride. Family is very important to me and to the potential success of the brewery. For the first 2 years, the hard work and long hours would not have been possible without my son Malachi and his mother Rebecca. Worked tirelessly beside me on this journey. And Gatlinburg Brewing Company started as a pipe dream without the help of so many, some still involved and some off chasing their own dreams that would not have been possible. While there are too many to list, they know who they are. I sincerely hope they know my gratitude. We're happy to call Gatlinburg and Sevier County home. I grew up here and hope to make communities proud of us as we are of them. Cheers. I had to read that whole thing because of a lot of the craft beer sites we've read, some get cheeky and have fun write-ups, whatever. But this is clearly the dude who started this, just
that's cool.
writing, you know.
That's awesome.
So yeah. And also, how cool is that? One can of, or maybe several cans of Sierra Nevada Torpedo, and then he goes off crazy trying a bunch of different beers. Makes me remember my old first craft beers days. All right, gents, shall we try this Gaddy Light?
Why not? I'm doing it out of the can, man.
Same
Pour
here.
out. Proper cold.
I mean, it doesn't smell like a typical American light lager, so I think we'll get a little.
It looks like a light lager from looking at Ron's pour.
We'll get a little more flavor out of this, I think. It's not, from the camera at least, doesn't look that clear pea yellow. Looks more straw.
Yeah, it's a little more straw, I think. It's not.
It's a slight strawish.
It's not quite urine.
It's like if you haven't had any water in a while.
It's a dehydrate.
There you go. All right, gents. Cheers from East Tennessee. Woohoo, boy.
Sláinte.
Cheers.
Yeah. Hey, good, man.
That's not bad.
Okay,
Crisp light.
that's much better than the other one.
Yeah, because you can actually taste the malt. Like, you can actually taste the craft ingredients.
It's got a way better malt crispness to it.
Yep.
The mouthfeel is
Spot on.
Very
Clean.
Yeah, very clean.
It's like a light Pilsner-ish, but for real.
Yeah.
I mean, Miller Lite says it's a light Pilsner, but you don't get that biscuity note on the back like this has. This is actually not for nothing.
Quite good. I like it.
Yeah, this is totally drinkable.
Well, 4-point-some%. We got one more in here to drink. So
4-point dose.
All right, gentlemen, let's move on to the saga. Headlines up first. Man City's treble winning season. Kind of felt like that was going to be the way it rolled, and it did. A few weeks back, following a 1-0 defeat of Inter Milan in the Champions League final, Pep Guardiola and Manchester City not only won their first elusive UEFA Champions League title, but also completed the third leg of a historic treble, only to be done once before in the Premier League. Man City's 8-point comeback in the league over Arsenal and their 2-1 victory at Wembley in the FA Cup final over Manchester United now see Pep's Manchester City firmly etch their place in history amongst some of the best ever club sides in the world. Congratulations, Manchester City. Do you figure Pep is going to leave soon? Or is he like, no one's ever done this twice in a row? I'm going to do that.
I still firmly believe that it's going to, what kind of possible sanctions may or may not be handed down to them. And it'll be depending on if those unveil any sort of misleading truths that he might have been misled from the club. If that's possible, if that's a thing. I'm not saying that it is, but if it comes out in an investigation, then he'd be gone. Right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
You've already won everything there is to win. Where else do you go? I don't think national teams in his side right now. You know, you've been at some of the biggest clubs in the world. The only place he really hasn't been is PSG. If you're talking like big clubs in multiple countries, but been at Bayern, been at Barca. So. It's this City side worthy of winning. They did not get this easy, and no treble winning team is necessarily the only other team to do it. Manchester United in 98 and 99, not easy, last minute goals, in finals, very similar to this. Inter Milan played a hell of a game, and it was a hell of a game.
Much bigger, much more. They put up a much bigger fight.
Absolutely.
Than almost anybody expected.
Absolutely. Very, very stingy. Erling Haaland did not score in that one, nor did he score in the 2-1 game against Manchester United in the FA Cup. Not an easy game. 2 wonder goals by Gundogan, who is leaving the club after seven seasons. News is coming out on that within the past few days, and he's going to Barcelona. But not an easy win there. There was one that went off the crossbar in that FA Cup game that would have made it 2-2. And then obviously they were pushed all the way until essentially beginning of April against Arsenal, who got out to an 8-point lead at one point, led for 75% of the season, and had to come back. So really not an easy treble for them, and they did it. And I think a lot of that comes down to Pep, right? He's playing John Stones, a center back by trade, as a center defensive number 6,
and not only did he win the treble, but he out Jose following the Champions League win by dropping this quote to the press of only won the Champions League because Romelu Lukaku missed a free header from 3 yards out.
He absolutely did.
That is
did.
It's such a Mourinho thing to drop in.
It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
And he's right, and it's a bit of tongue in cheek from him, but also the truth. Like, if that goes in, that could be different. You're playing 1-1, you're doing extra time, you go to pens, it's anybody's game at that point. So it's not like they blew teams away. Did they blow teams away in the Premier League? And were they consistently the best team from, I would say, end of February and on? Absolutely. But you can't sit here and say, well, they didn't deserve to win this. They didn't deserve to win all 3 of those. I don't think any of this is necessarily going to be stripped if
I don't know. That's a
those
pretty
counts.
massive.
I agree.
A pretty massive penalty. They're going to have to be proving that essentially the entire front office of the club is going to prison.
Yep. It's the FA, not the NCAA.
Excellent. Ron Lukaku, is he still a Chelsea player that's on loan, or does he actually?
No, he's still a Chelsea player at this moment.
Oh my word!
AC Milan is coming in after him, which is kind of interesting.
He just wants to stay in Italy.
100%.
No matter what. No matter what happens.
Have you seen Chelsea lately? I would too at this point. I'm going to stay in Milan.
Yeah, I mean, he was in the final. I mean, so was Chelsea very recently. God, still so bizarre. Still so bizarre. Chelsea has been a vortex. Maybe has Chelsea been a vortex for us more than Arsenal this go round with what the heck is going on?
Maybe. Yeah, probably.
It's that one's pulled us in a bunch.
By far, we're the brightest dumpster fire.
No, I mean they were great. This was a tight match. I guess it could have gone. It's wild. It could have gone anyway, but I don't know. You just kind of felt like it was inevitable. Kind of felt like this had to happen.
Yeah, it definitely felt that way. As they just kept winning trophies that they were going to finally get Champions League, and especially with you can look through the sides of the Champions League draw and see that Manchester City. I think the harder game was actually the previous game for Man City, which was the Real Madrid series.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Like, for all intents and purposes, from a squeaky bum time kind of approach, that was the final.
Without a doubt. That definitely felt like, and that's how many times it happened in sports, playoff sports, where the NFC Championship or the AFC Championship feels more like the Super Bowl than the actual Super Bowl itself. It does.
More than the actual Super Bowl.
Yeah, by far. They are, but I mean, here's the thing too, just like Man United did. So Inter's like, we're going to lock down Holland. What does it matter when like everybody on that team can score? Like,
yeah,
in that
the final 3 goals of their season, 2 from Gundogan against United, both outside the box, just hella strikes that nobody's gonna stop, and then the last one in the Champions League against Inter, it was a Rodri goal. Not quite outside the box, if I remember correctly, but out there a bit, and lovely strike there as well. So, it takes those type of goals. It takes them just staying in the games, and when the opportunities came, those midfielders that don't get quite the love as well as a Haaland does, or a Jack Grealish or a Mahrez or De Bruyne just kind of step up in big games. And you look at Gundogan, who was Pep's first signing at Man City. Look at all the things that he won with them, the things that Gundogan helped them win. They won the league last year on his goals in the second half in that game. They won an FA Cup off of his goals. He leaves the club and will probably have a statue outside of there of him for what he's done with Pep during that time. and have been there for all 7 seasons that Pep's been there.
Incredible effort.
Yeah, they're good. Whatever, Eric, if you're listening.
And they're probably going to be annoyingly good again next year.
And they just put in a $114 million bid for Declan Rice. They're trying to swoop that right under for Arsenal.
I can't,
and they'll probably get it.
There's something about this one. I feel like because of stuff that's happened prior, Arsenal don't want to let this one go, so they're going to force. I think they're going to push them over what they really want to spend. I think Arsenal's still going to go for it. Was it 114? I thought it was 100 total.
It's 114, I think, US dollars. My only
gotcha.
For what they're doing. Yeah.
I think it was like 90 and then 10 with add-ons, something like that. And Arsenal had offered 75 with 15 and add-on. So I'm sure whatever the next offer is. The thing they've got going for him is Declan Rice wants to be in London. So we'll see what happens out of there. But either way, I mean, we don't technically have we could have made a tinfoil transfer episode out of this as well. Valuations are bonkers. Thanks, Chelsea. I'm looking at you, Ron. Because yes, this would be a record for Arsenal if they dropped this much. I don't know if it would be for Man City, but but it doesn't. People aren't like, oh my gosh, because this is just like normal. It's just like totally normal now. It's wild, like how much these players are being valued at, and the transfer market is so inflated for Premier League players.
It's crazy how much people are willing to to pay. But I mean, to be honest, football players don't have limitless time for playing. So, I mean, if the market is willing to bear the cost of a player, I say good on the player, and the inflation bubble will pop at some point.
Yes. In the meantime, Chelsea is going to avoid financial fair play rules by getting Saudi Arabia to bail them out by buying 30 of their players.
Man, well, so far only like 6.
Yeah, but it's
so far.
Yeah, it's everybody's like,
there's going to be a team out there called El Chelsea.
Sports. I know. It's like sports washing.
So should we look at?
Yeah. Should we look at this? I don't know. That's. I mean, I bet by the time we wrap up transfers in a little while, we'll have a good pod about that. In the meantime,
I mean, there's so many. It's incredible how many clubs and investment groups have Saudi backing to them, regardless of sports, right? In the US,
yeah, it's a lot.
It's some crazy number, like 65% of these major firms that invest and all that all have Saudi backing to them.
Well, look
so
what just happened.
It's almost impossible for someone to get an investment that is not in some way 6 degrees separation of Kevin Bacon to the Saudis.
And look at what just happened with the PGA and LIV Golf, where PGA is like, hey, stick with us, stand with us. We're not going to be some nation state owned thing, and then turned around and sold straight to that group.
Do we want to just skip the next and go right to the Liga's roundup, because we're pretty much there?
Oh, are we?
Let's go out of order.
Okay,
Why not?
Okay. Oh man.
Well,
oh gosh.
In this edition,
whoa, it's crazy.
If you've been living under a rock, sorry, the La Liga's roundup. The PGA is now owned by Saudi-backed Live.
Wait, what?
You don't say there, Blake. I'll be darned. And the Saudi League for football in recent weeks has been on an absolutely massive spending spree. Hey, weren't we just talking about that?
Yeah.
I'll be damned.
Talk about just throwing it up and letting Ferris spike it down.
Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. All 6'6" of me coming down hard. Let's go. All right. So I'm gonna read you guys through a list of some dates. Okay. Or I'm sorry, of some names that are to date on who's made those moves. There are not like small names here. Like, I don't know, the current Ballon d'Or winner, Karim Benzema, from Real Madrid, where he won 14 million trophies and things with all sorts of stuff, went on a free transfer from Real Madrid to I'm going to
Al-Ittihad, I think.
Al-Ittihad. Yeah, I think that's right. And he signed a 3-year deal worth, take a wild guess, per year.
It's crazy.
$107 million a year. 3 years, $107 million a year. So 3 years, he's making what, $321 million?
Yep.
3 years.
And they let him go on a free. That's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
But the list doesn't stop here. Oh, no. It's a good old-fashioned Saudi public investment fund transfer roundup.
Just about blew beer out of my nose.
And up next, Chelsea midfielder N'Golo Kante, who once again on a free transfer to, I'll say it again.
Al-Ittihad. Ittihad.
Al-Ittihad. Signed a 4-year deal, but you know what, guys? Come on, N'Golo. You can do better than this. Only $86 million per year? You got to be kidding me.
He's been injured a lot.
What the hell? 4 years at $86 million per year? Holy mackerel. Does it stop here? No, it sure as hell does not. Another Chelsea player, a center back by the name of Kalidou Koulibaly,
who we just bought.
He's been there not even a full year. Like literally not even a full year.
That is the funniest. That is the most sports washing-ish one to me in that respect.
And his precise deal is not known, or at least I could not quite find that. But he did go on a transfer fee of $20 million to Al Hilal. Sorry.
It's all right.
Koulibaly joins up also at Al Hilal with former Wolverhampton Wanderers captain, who's only 26 years old, Ruben Neves, who garnished a club record fee at Wolves for £60 million. Or dollars. I don't know. Doesn't matter. 60. It's their highest transfer that they've ever sold. And it was to a Saudi team for their 26-year-old captain.
Wonder if Wolves can be tied back to Saudi investment.
No clue. But for $60 million to them, Wolves can do a hell of a lot with that for the next Premier League season. Now, and if you thought that this was, well, you know, that's it, and it's only going to be these handful of teams. Well, guess who else they're in conversations with right now that are reportedly ongoing with all of these players? Somebody by the name of Neymar.
Yeah. Who is kind of using leverage of leaving Europe because he thinks he's the Ballon d'Or winner for the season.
Well, they already signed the Ballon d'Or winner, so they can get him, I guess, if they want. Hakim Ziyech of your Chelsea.
Yep.
Edouard Mendy of your Chelsea, Roberto Firmino, not of Chelsea yet, but that may change. Is possibly in talks. Bernardo Silva of Man City is in possible talks. Saul, formerly of Chelsea, on loan, right? If I'm not mistaken, and back at Atletico Madrid. Marcelo Brozovic, Inter Milan, and Wilfried Zaha of Crystal Palace, all of which are being reported targets of either Al Hilal, Al Ali, or Al Nasser. Those three clubs are in for a few different of those players. They're all being discussed at the time. Now, it should be noted that there are, somehow the Saudis don't actually have all of the shiny new footballers and uptick in their Instagram followers and those type of things, because there have been some that have declined, such as the likes of Lionel Messi. He wants to come to the last team in the East in MLS instead, opposed to being paid $1 billion quadrillion in Saudi.
But you could be paid $1 million quadrillion in Miami. So I kind of
a lot of cocaine money. They'll do that.
Kind of get it.
Plus, Apple's going to throw him all that money for his documentary.
So we have to talk about this on a separate pod, but it's real interesting that the league basically forced all the sponsors to give up money and all the clubs to give up money to pay for him to come to Miami.
Well, and you know what the MLS did? Not even a season and a half ago. They had sanctions on Inter Miami for transfer shenanigans for the Blaze Matuidi, and now they're like, "Oh no, we're going to help you actually get this transfer." Right. Oh, come on!
You can only do shenanigans joke if we give you the.
I cannot wait for his first interview, and somebody asks him, "Lionel, yes, yeah. Can you explain to me what TAM and GAM is?"
No,
and which one are you being paid by at the time? Are you being paid targeted allocation money or general allocation money? Okay, and just a question. Once you get,
and the real question no one is asking: who has discovery rights?
That's true.
Of Lionel Messi in the MLS.
I hope it's. Oh my God! I hope it's
Colorado or
Colorado
San Jose
Rapids have Minnesota United FC fully claim Lionel Messi as one of their Oh man, it's going to be
this
wild.
World is nuts,
absolutely nuts. I mean, he's supposed to Inter Miami's supposed to come here in September. I have my $26 ticket up for about $500 right now to see if that bad boy sells. Somebody pay for my season tickets, all of my season tickets on one game.
Yep. Oh man.
Amazing. Elsewhere, Romelu Lukaku was kind of being fancied by a Saudi Arabia team and has not. Managers Steven Gerrard and Jose Mourinho are both being courted by them.
Mourinho turned it down.
I believe Steven Gerrard turned it down as well. Luka Modric turned it down. Just signed I think a 1-year extension onto his. And Son Heung-min, who basically said, no, there's still things that I want to do here in England. I want to play for Spurs. I love the team that I play with. I'm not going anywhere. So
he didn't say he still had trophies doing in England, did he? Because he is at the wrong place.
He said that.
He's the wrong place.
I don't believe he said that.
All the memes of such and such player went and won all these things, retired, came back, won titles with Wrexham and got him promoted, and Harry Kane won.
Yep.
Nothing.
Yeah. West Ham's over there like
yeah.
Oh yeah, we forgot to mention that. Congrats all you Hammers out there on a European trophy win.
Yep.
European Conference League winners.
40?
So it's
40 years?
First in a long
40 some
time.
years?
Yep. But good for them.
I also, sorry, real quick. I also like the Ericsson memes where it's Ericsson died, was resurrected, came back and played, rehabbed, came back,
won a trophy
with Man United, and there's Harry Kane, won nothing.
Nothing still.
A man died and came back and won a trophy before Harry Kane.
That is the best one.
That is pretty good.
Okay.
That is pretty good. Well, and that is your La Liga's roundup.
Boom. Well, I love it. We're firing off at the hip. So, we were going to go into a little U.S. soccer, Ron, and then do beer news before La Liga. So do you want to hit beer news now?
Oh, I got some beer and news.
All right. So we got to go to halftime. There we go.
Halftime. So aren't you proud? I hit the right button.
Stretch out a little bit.
So a couple of things. We're short on time, so I'm going to keep it really quick. The city council of the District of Columbia, that's Washington, D.C., for those of you not in the U.S.
Not Columbia, South Carolina.
Correct, no. Have made a emergency amendment.
These are
called
fun.
The Women's World Cup Emergency Amendment Act of 2023. That's the name of it. And it establishes that bars are allowed to be open 24/7 to accommodate overnight kickoffs caused by the time difference in Australia and New Zealand for the Women's World Cup.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent.
That's so awesome.
I will slow clap that.
That is awesome.
That's pretty cool.
As well
Now,
they should.
The rest of
Well, did it say will they be serving at all hours, or just
Yes.
the bars will be open?
they'll be serving 24/7.
Oh, boys, I'm going to Washington D.C.
I know that's the place to go watch the Ladies World Cup, which is
Heck yeah. Speaking of which, Caitlin, for a friend of the pod, was just in Portland and went to the sports brawl.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
We covered that
Yep.
a couple of episodes ago, and that is the all-female run sports bar that only shows female sports on it.
Yep, I believe she sent a picture in the group I'm chatting with, and with her and Tony. I think she might just send it to me. Let me see if I can find it real quick, and I'll show you.
Oh, that's cool.
Right there. And
Oh, yeah.
Ron's kind of seeing this, but she sent it to me because I have, I like a lot of the players in that league. And if you watch the NWSL, Morgan Weaver, number 22 for the Thorns, is having herself just a great year. And Caitlin that's not one of her favorites. Well, I guess in the sports brawl, Morgan Weaver signed a spot on the wall in that bar, so she was sending me that. I was like, heck yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, second thing on the beer news is the Homebrewers Association, which I read from a lot. We talk about like the World Beer Cup. We talk about the Great American Beer Festival. They have just finished their national homebrew competition and announced all the major awards for all the people that entered for this year. Guess how many categories they had, gentlemen?
900. Well,
I'll give you a hint. It's more limited than the World Beer Cup.
232.
Blake?
131.
Ooh, close. 125.
Oh, well done, Blake.
And homebrewers from all over the states won. Specialties. They even have specialty ciders. They basically have meads. They have all kinds of different farmhouse ales, which is funny because I was wondering if our favorite brewery, Butternuts Brewing, was in here. But since they're not technically home brewers, they're not.
Ron, that's what we need to do. We need to brew. We need to find the recipe to their BS beer and actually make a good version and enter it into the homebrew competition.
Right.
But
we were inspired by Butternuts.
This is a farmhouse ale. Yeah. You guys are fans? Oh, no, far from it.
Yeah.
This is us correcting a mistake.
Right. This is putting right what once went wrong.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
So go to the homebrewersassociation.org and you can check out all the winners from the Home Brewers Awards. And then finally, I want to do a bit of a review for you guys.
It just got serious. It got serious up in here. Do you feel that, Ferris?
Siskel and Keller over here.
I know.
So I've been seeing a lot of advertisements for Tavor, which is an app that allegedly you can order alcohol over. And
crossing state lines, you wild man, you.
Yeah. So I figured, why not? I'll sign up and see what it's like.
Okay.
So the app is pretty easy to use. It basically has the different beers that are all categorized across the top, and then each one, like you click on a category, and they're all just in a list, and you can add it to the cart, and you have like 3 weeks. You tell it when you want it shipped, and it'll count you down. And if you don't put anything else in your cart, it'll auto bill you for whatever you did put in your cart, and it'll just ship it to you.
Okay.
I mean,
so
I'm looking at some of the stuff on their site. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, if you guys want to sponsor a podcast called The Brewtiful Game, we you know.
Well, wait,
we will mention you every single pod.
We should preface this. We haven't actually heard Ron's review yet, so
that's true.
May hinge.
That's okay. It's okay.
They want to do that.
It's okay. Wink, wink, Blake. We keep going. It's okay.
So right now on their
Simming
app,
positive. That's where I'm going.
Right now on their app, they have some really interesting stuff. Fruited smoothie sour from Hydra Brewing.
Ron's favorite style.
Blueberry raspberry lemonade here. Then they have a beer called Among the Bandits from it's a New England style IPA.
Love it.
And 7.5 ABV from Finback in Queens, New York. Then they have another one from Idaho Springs, Colorado, Portland, Oregon, Portland, Maine, Anchorage, Alaska, Tampa, Florida, Winchester, Virginia, Anaheim, California, Hatfield, Pennsylvania. You can drive through and blink and miss Hatfield, PA. I've been there. But beers from all over the place, and they're all really interesting beers. So I ordered a whole set.
Oh.
So how many at a time? You can choose like how many
you
a month you get, or
you just go onto the app and you pick the beers you want and then say ship it. And they'll ship you the beers you ordered.
So you can do a subscription or you can do it as you go.
Correct.
Gotcha. This is a gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
I did not
All year
do the
long.
subscription because I don't want some of the beers, like especially the fruited sours.
Got friends that like sour.
So an interesting thing enough. An interesting thing is when it shipped to me from a local, and when I say local, I mean in Orlando, beer distributor.
Okay, sure.
So what I think they're doing is
Cost down.
I think what they're doing is they ship it to the beer distributor, a local beer distributor, and the beer distributor ships it to you
Makes sense.
so that they can keep taxes down, and that's how they get around the interstate commerce of beer because a private citizen can't do it that way because of tax issues. Right? But so I got eight beers, and it comes in a really good package.
Ooh, isn't that
Ron, that is a nice package you have there, Ron.
Thanks for noticing.
Is that a can in your pocket? You happy to see me?
Oh, Ferris, that's a tall boy.
Hey.
Is that a sour pickle? I did notice they had a sour pickle beer around there.
What you got there?
So this one is a German-style Pilsner from Transient Artisan Ales and 5% ABV. I got another one called La Magie, which is a French-style Pilsner. I'm really hooked on the Pilsners right now, as you can see.
Okay.
Then I got that one again. Then I got another one called Island Time from Resident Culture Brewing Company. It's a Mexican-style lager.
Heck yeah.
Ooh.
Looks fun.
That's the same. Maybe that's the only ones I got.
And sorry, like value-wise, like price-wise, like is it like going to Total Wine or something? Like
it was pretty cheap. The whole all of that for $45.
Oh, geez, yeah. If you were buying those singles, that's what you're spending at Total Wine. That's
Yeah.
and you didn't have to go anywhere. That's pretty cool.
Nope, I just picked it all from the app, and off it went. So I got eight units of beer. That's what they're calling them in here. Units. Oh, I lied. I forgot this one.
Ooh.
Lone Buffalo Barrel Aged Stout from Wild Leap Craft Beer, limited edition. It's
What's a gold buffalo on there?
bottle 18 of a 25 run.
Oh.
Rye bourbon barrel aged stout.
That sounds good.
Yeah, 13.9 on the old ABVs.
I've been
can't wait to check it out.
It's funny you pull that one as the last one. Here it is. The weather's getting hot, and for whatever reason, I'm digging on porters and stouts lately. Something's wrong in my head for time of season, but that sounds fantastic.
So far, I'm kind of digging the Tavor app, or Tavor, or Tavour. I'm not exactly sure how it's pronounced, but I'm digging it so far.
Sponsorships are available for
the Brewtiful
Game.
Game.
You can reach out.
Come on. That's awesome.
Brewtifulgame.com.
Because what you could make is a Brewtiful box that you come on, Tavor. This is how it works. You have a Brewtiful box
special.
and taste the beers with the boys as they go.
All of our
through
favorite
them.
styles.
Oh my gosh!
And we'll give you a whole bunch of magnets to put in the box.
Yeah.
We'll give you a slew of magnets.
We got a mystery box. It's like Ron's favorites. It's all sours.
Sours, but you get a scarf with it.
Yeah. The marketing writes itself. We'll be in touch.
Right. So yeah, I recommend it. Give it a go. It's got some good beers and some beers you won't, unless you're really traveling that much. It's beers you're not really going to get your hands on. So far, pretty good.
I cannot wait for the day where you get your first butternuts brew in there.
I know.
Oh, God.
I do want to say on their main page for their website, they've got a Hydra pink guava and mango pineapple from Mortalis and a deal with the devil from Anchorage. It's got a beer advocate score of 100 over 100. It's an American barley wine. That's awesome. And that's hard to find. So that's really cool that's on there. The deal with the devil. All right. Hey, speaking of barley wine, I know we sometimes jump on these. Sierra Nevadas is out, by the way. Just saw it at the store today. Their Bigfoot one, if you want to grab it. All right. Do you have to blow the whistle
That's
to
your
get
beer news.
Beer news? Do you have to blow the whistle to get us back in the game?
Second half, baby.
All right. I like that we screwed with the order over here. Fine by me. So we'll end the pod off with the second half, then being all about U.S. soccer. USA. I believe that we will win. So first up, we're going to look at the U.S. women's national team's World Cup roster has been announced. Actually, I need to go to the link there. They last Wednesday, June 21st, Vlatko Andonovski. There we go, almost. And U.S. Soccer announced the 23 women roster that next month will be boarding a plane to Australia and New Zealand for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. With some surprising inclusions and exclusions, how are we feeling about the overall vibe and thoughts of this roster?
Well, before we get into that, I'll read you off the goaltenders, defenders, midfielders, and forwards that are part of that 23 women roster. In goal, Aubrey Kinsbury used to be here, but we went with the Pride, now playing for the Spirit. Casey Murphy and Alyssa Nair. Alyssa Nair will probably be your starter there. No real surprise there. 3 solids have always been called up to camp. In the back, Alana Cook, Emily Fox, Crystal Dunn, Naomi Gurma, Sophia Huerta, Kelly O'Hara, Emily Sonnet, all defenders. You might be going, well, where the hell is Becky Sauerbrunn? Well, she sustained an injury, and it's putting her out till after the World Cup. So she unfortunately is not on the plane. That is a massive loss. That is the U.S. captain at the current moment. That is a huge, huge loss.
Yeah, she was gutted when you could tell just when she wrote her letter and put it on Instagram and the socials and it was released. You could just feel the emotion that she had when she wrote it.
Yeah, big loss.
Incredibly sad.
Big, massive loss. Massive loss. Probably would have partnered in there with Gurma, who was the NWSL Rookie of the Year, who already has 15 appearances and just been really, really solid in her time and been called up to pretty much every camp for the past year and a half or so. Moving on to midfield, Savannah DeMello, Julie Ertz, Lindsay Horan, who just got engaged. Congratulations. Rose Lavelle, Christy Mewis, Ashley Sanchez, Andy Sullivan. All your midfielders. You're probably wondering, who the hell is Savannah DeMello? Well, we all are too, because guess how many appearances and caps she's had? A big fat 0. And you're taking this person to the World Cup. First cap, NA, is on the U.S. soccer site.
May she score the first goal and shut us all up.
We'll come back to that. I have thoughts on that, because the forwards that are going, Alex Morgan, no surprise there. Megan Rapinoe, no surprise there. Trinity Rodman, no surprise there. Sophia Smith, no surprise there. Alyssa Thompson, a bit of a surprise there. She only, in her own right, only has 3 appearances for the U.S. team. And then Lynn Williams, really no surprise there. She's having a fantastic season. Names that have been excluded. The big one on my list, Ashley Hatch. It's an absolute American travesty that she's not on that plane and going. Called up to every camp for the last year and a half. Golden Boot in the NWSL 3 seasons ago. 6 overall last year. Was tied for first for a large part of this year. Down into 3rd or 4th this year. One of the only players to score 7 goals the past 3 seasons. She has already done that in the NWSL. How she is not going and somebody with 0 caps is going. Vlatko Andonovski is a turncoat. That is, I would be livid if I were her not going on this plane. To be called into every single camp for the past year and a half, and then to have somebody that has 0 appearances called in. What logic is that to it? And you're going, well, there's a lot of forwards, a lot of talent forward. I understand that. But if you want somebody, we're going to be playing not catch up, but we are going to have our backs to the wall, because the talent in the World Cup has upcreased the past 8 years that we've watched the World Cup.
Upcreased?
Upticked is what I meant to say.
I like upcreased.
Just let me, I'm on a roll, Ron. I'm on a roll. Has increased and upticked. Thank you. In the past 8 years that we've been doing this, that they're going to need goals. And I don't know. I would want somebody like a Ashley Hatch and Trinity Rodman, who, oh, by the way, play on the same NWSL club and have for the past few seasons, and who both account for a bag full of goals and assists a year, with Ashley Sanchez sitting behind them, all play on the same team, that
chemistry they're bringing day out and day in at training. We're going to need goals. Our defense, especially with no Sauerbrunn back there, is going to be put against it this year. There's a lot of good teams out there. England, Netherlands, Germany. There are a lot of good teams. To not have an extra goal scorer in there, shocking. And to somebody else, I'm so damn mad.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, okay. Let me try to. Can I throw a positive spin on this?
Go ahead.
And this is me kind of looking like CBS Sports, who wrote this, had a take. Sandra Herrera. Her take on Ashley Hatch in particular was she is a traditional center forward, which might have been what hurt her because you have a lot of these forwards that can play across the front, including the number 9 role, who are already going. So that's one thing that she threw out. And that overall, that as far as the look of this is versatility over experience seems to have been the key for deciding. Which, hero or zero, that could be an interesting thing.
You don't want experience for the World Cup. That's great logic.
Well, I mean, I'm torn.
And why call her into every camp for the past year and a half to then give somebody that's been called in twice and has not seen the field at all?
Well, that's not
1 minute.
I think you need to pick another forward, right? Not the person that.
Okay, I mean, Alyssa
Yeah.
Thompson has played less than 15 professional games in her career. I think it's in the 13 range, 3 of those being for the U.S., none of which being starts. Bright young talent, speed, versatility. I get all of that. I can understand why maybe she's going. The Mal Swanson injury that was a few months back can contribute, to that. But to have a traditional number 9 up there that has an eye for goal, a foot for goal, a head for goal, a nose for goal, what? You think that Savannah DeMello is going to get in over Julie Ertz, Lindsey Horan, Rose Lavelle, Mewis, Sanchez, or Sullivan? She's going to ride the pine the entire time.
Possibly, but also on the looking on the bright side, with the take that she had on this was that Savannah DeMello would possibly be your rotation for Rose Lavelle, who has not played in a bit.
Savannah DeMello hasn't never played.
No. Rose Lavelle hasn't played since mid-April with some.
Savannah DeMello has never played.
Injuries. Well, no, but she's playing. So they're saying Rose Lavelle has not really been playing because of injuries. So if she needs to rotation, that might be where DeMello comes in.
Ferris still doesn't like it. He's not going to, but it is what it is.
You can grip at straws all day long.
If these aren't straw, I mean, it's
My big thing is if I don't like the argument of well that person didn't go, they should be going. That you have to, who should not be going also in terms of you're going to replace that player. To name a player that should have gone, you have to replace that player that you think should not have gone. So those are 2 players from me that I don't think that play in midfield and forward that should have gone to this World Cup. You want to go in defense? Emily Sonnet's going just because Sauerbrunn's hurt, and that's it. But she's not going to play a whole lot, and I'm not her biggest fan on defense. For me, a World Cup is not to get cute with who you're trying to bring in. And it feels like Vlatko and staff probably outthought themselves here.
Ron's been quiet.
I have opinions, but Ferris is taking all the time, as usual.
Sorry. This one just, it irks me. It does. The logic does not make sense. And I think it's a shame.
I think I agree with Ferris in the respect that Hatch should have gone. The reason, though, is because she, over almost any other player on this roster, has done exactly what the U.S. manager has asked, which is go to the club level, play, and tear it up. And I think if you look at the things that Hatch has done last year since that kind of commandment or direction was given, Hatch has lived it, breathed it, slept it over almost anyone else you can name. And because she has done that, she should have gone.
Agreed.
But I think it's going to be incredibly interesting to see how this all unfolds and what ends up becoming, like Blake said, and we've said on the pod a million times, these types of bold choices. You are a hero or a zero. And sometimes the pressure makes diamonds. Sometimes the pressure just turns it into carbon atoms and nothing else happens. So July 20th.
Surprised Carbon Adams didn't get a call up.
Carbon atoms is inanimate, so couldn't actually do that. But anyway,
I'm excited. I'm excited for new blood. I have my core of the women's national team that I love. They're like my champions that I've watched lift trophies, but I'm excited to see changing of the guard and the shifts happen and exciting new players.
There's
and
plenty of that.
The thing is, I'll say this: if the women don't win, and that's not a guarantee, I don't know that's going to be a fault of no Ashley Hatch. I think that's going to be right now. The world has stepped up a lot, and there's a lot of good national teams in the women's game. This is going to be a tough World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. Big injuries like Mallory and like Becky are there. I think Becky is massive. That is losing a Virgil van Dijk type of player for what this team has. And I agree, the world has gotten much better. But one thing that we can do, and the U.S. can done and has done, is scored goals. So to not have a proven goal scored, to Ron's point of tearing it up in the league the past few years, being asked to do everything that she is, and being called up and brought into pretty much every single camp for the past well over a year. That's where, do I think it's going to be if the U.S. don't advance because Ashley Hatch didn't go? No. But if they're looking for a goal in the last minute and they've run out of options and they're throwing on midfielders or extra defenders that are acting as forwards, or they're just tossing on forwards that don't get goals, then a number 9, a proven number 9 to have in your back pocket there could be helpful. Do I think Alyssa Thompson's probably going to get herself a few goals? Probably. She's that bright. She's that young. But I think there were some misses here. Sam Coffey would have been a better midfielder to go than DeMello, in my opinion, playing in and out for the best team in the league. Portland, who's been called up, fits that role, can pivot off of Ertz wonderfully. Ertz, you can even look at. She's played 5 games since she's been back after not playing for over a year. Where's that playing consistently for your club? For what Vlaco's come out and said so many times. You're going away from that now.
Ferris, baby, you got to trust the process.
I think we need to have a final word on this. And the final word is the chocolate milk goddess is going. And I think that we can all be happy about.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Wow.
It's okay. Trinity Robbins going to have 3 different hat trick games. It'll be fine. We're fine. We're all good here. We got
Ron,
this.
would you like another Gaddy Light?
I would love one.
Yeah, it's drinkable. I'm really, this beer it surprised me. Well, from the women's national team, we now move over to the U.S. men's national team. some stuff's been going on, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
You
Well,
don't say.
Over the last week or so for the U.S. men's national team, it has certainly been a busy one. Not only have the U.S. men started their Gold Cup defense of their title with a 1-1 draw against Jamaica on Saturday, but less than a week earlier, a slightly different U.S. men's team national team won their second in a row CONCACAF Nations League by defeating our bitter rivals Mexico, once again led by 2 goals from captain Christian Pulisic and a ruthless third by substitute Ricardo Pepe. 2-0 became 3-0. However, the big news of the week wasn't so much our demolition of our southern foes for another trophy. No, it was for the return of Gregg Berhalter to head coach of the U.S. men's national team. News first broke of his shocking return to side came only moments before the whistle that kicked off the final in Las Vegas on June 15th. The Athletics' Paul Tenorio, thank you, and Pablo Maurer were the first report. Maurer? See, man, dang it. Pulisic. I can get all day long.
You got it that time.
Thank you.
Yeah, so proud of you.
That was pretty good. But they were the first to report that U.S. Soccer were in negotiations to sign Gregg Berhalter once again. And just less than 24 hours later, Soccer's hand was forced a bit, and thus the announcement and subsequent press conference of Gregg Berhalter was held to announce that he would once again take over duties that would this time last through the 2026 World Cup. As currently the highest winning percentage coach of the U.S. men's national team with a 37, 11, and 12 record.
61.67 winning percentage.
67.61% of the time, every time.
How do we feel about this one?
See, Ashley Hatt should have gotten the job, and no, I'm just kidding. I am a bit of a different take, but I will let you gents give your opinions on this first. Blake, you have you want to spew out some burn it all down on your face.
This is so dumb. It's so dumb because it is a chance to move past a bunch of BS. If he were Jose Mourinho, great manager, tons of BS goes along with him. If you're Jose Mourinho being brought back again, I go, well, at the end of the day, though, this guy, he does know what he's doing, even if he's a pain in the ass. I don't care if he's slightly the most winningest coach. He does not have that level of juice being worth the squeeze. Now, is this all his fault? No, we went over that. All the crap that happened with the Reina family, all that stuff. I mean, but it's just all this mess going on that you could move past and grow up. And instead, I think and the world was like, what is this Mickey Mouse operation that they've got going on? And then we bring that manager back. And mind you, I know the interim's only been there for so long, but one of the complaints about Berhalter was not an attacking minded coach. And we've been smoking the attack with our interim head coach.
In fairness, that coach was under Berhalter to begin with and didn't have Florin Balogun too.
I know it's fair enough, but I can't fathom that the other options were so bad that they actively thought it would make things worse. To me, this isn't. Here you go. I'll sum that up beyond just being dumb. This doesn't make us better. It just kind of keeps us where we are. I don't think that's a step forward, and so for me, staying in place is a step backwards. But I cede the floor to the honorable pepperoni gentleman from New Jersey.
Okay, well, I'm gonna ask one thing off of what you said. If not Gregg Berhalter, then who? Realistically, because names were being batted around that weren't realistic.
Yeah, like Zidane or
realistically, I would have just stuck with this interim. I feel like Berhalter is a step back from that. If that's what your options came down to, Berhalter or nothing.
I mean, recency bias certainly being there based on this past week, but he wasn't the interim. Remember the other interim that was there for a short bit left a few weeks back,
right?
Feyenoord,
somewhere, right? I don't remember, but that's.
Is the interim to the interim.
Correct. And I think both came from Berhalter's staff at the time anyways.
Right.
But anyways, Sir Pepperoni of Pennsylvania. Go ahead.
I am reserving judgment until we find out what his goals for the next X amount of contracted years are.
Don't be an idiot at a press conference. Sorry, I'll shut up. Go ahead. That's his goal.
And the reason I'm saying that is because Berhalter has had every team he's managed for, which has only been 3, Hammarby, IF, Columbus Crew, and the U.S. men's national team. He's always had specific goals of what he was trying to accomplish in his time there. And he is someone who accomplishes the goals. So his goal for the World Cup was to get us out of the group stage. Success. We got knocked out in the round of 16. And okay. But he accomplished the goal, right? Then there's all this drama that, we'll kind of put aside. If he is a 3-year manager and has goals that are specific and goals that are attainable, and then goes and goes out after them, making the best possible choices, then I think it's probably a good appointment. If he's coming out and saying we're going to win the World Cup and win it at home, all that craziness, maybe it's not the best. But I think overall he's a very practical person. He is, even if it's by a slight percentage, he is the best manager the U.S. has had. And then the other thing, the kind of wild card in there, is that almost all of the players, save maybe Gio Reyna and 1 or 2 others, have nothing but good things to say about his coaching style, how he forms the relationships with the players to get the best out of them. And they genuinely like playing for him. If you go and listen to the interview on ESPN FC of Christian Pulisic has nothing but good things to say about him. His time, how he mentors the players, how he coaches them, how the staff really gives and provides direction, and they're all pointed the same direction. Those are marks of a good manager. So in good conscience, I can't naysay him because of some drama that they've had. I think it is possible that it's a step forward, because when he took over and said we're going to go to the World Cup and get out of the group stages, we did. And the previous World Cup, we weren't even in. So I think Blake is a little bit blind, has a little bit blinders on. Personally, I think it does move us forward. I don't think it's just how Blake put it, status quo, because the status quo is actually good.
Well, and to kind of piggyback off of that, the interim to the interim that we were talking about, Blake, was Ernie Stewart. Ernie Stewart was a sporting director. Anthony Hudson was the interim, and then BJ Callahan. That sporting director is by a gentleman by the name of Matt Crocker, who is lastly from Southampton. We're working with their academies and stuff there. He's done a lot of other things. You can go in and look him up. He had this to say at the press conference, and he was the one, once they got the sporting director in, what U.S. Soccer said all along, once they got the sporting director in, the sporting director along with the, Gucci Onweyu, vice president of sporting, were working together to then get the next head coach in. The Crocker started a month or so back, so somewhere along those lines, once the Premier League season ended, and this took place. But Crocker is quoted as saying, "When I started this search, my focus was on finding someone with the right vision to take this program to new heights in 2026. So, Ron, similarly to what you said, he went on to say, Gregg has that vision as well as that expert experience and growth mindset on and off the field to move this team forward. Appointing the right head coach for a national team is a crucial decision that reflects U.S. soccer's identity and lays the foundation to growth to grow soccer across the country for years to come. I am confident that Gregg is the right person for the job and looking forward to working in partnership with him." I subscribe more to your line of thinking wrong than I subscribe to Blake's line of thinking. With that being said, I understand Blake's line of thinking. But when you strip it all down and you look at all of the variables associated, with it, who realistically are going to come in that's really going to change the program and move us forward within that short period of time of 3 years. It sounds like it's a long time, but we have the Centenario next year and then the World Cup that following year after that. This was, I feel like, the players, that core of players that has been kind of brought up with Gregg in a way. Your Tyler Adams, your Weston McKennies, your Christian Pulisic's, your
you had it earlier.
I did. Just don't worry about it. Your Walker Zimmerman, the kind of that core that's there. Tim Weah, Yunus Musa. A lot of these players had such good things to say that I think that it had to be factored into. Well, if the team likes them and they progress and they move forward each step of the way, they've won silverware. They got out of. They did what they went to do out of the World Cup. Yada yada yada. Then maybe he is progressing. He has the confidence of those players to step into this role and take them to the next level. A player like Florin Balogun certainly helps. Not in the Gregg, wasn't a Gregg kind of brought in, but a lot of these things factoring into it, knowing that he's familiar with this group. He knows it. A lot of the interns were from his staff. His honesty throughout the entire investigation, all of these things factored in. Well, who are you going to get besides your, names that you can just throw out there that you wish you had at the club? Who realistically are you going to get that's real, that that you have that you don't know for certain, but you have a very strong possibility and very strong chance that they are going to get this team to the next level come the World Cup in 2026. Now, what that next level is on home soil, I think it has to be goals past the round of 16. Yeah, easily that, if not maybe a semifinal, quarterfinal berth. But and also surprising to hear his name. Certainly that's shock value alone enough to make you go, "What the hell? What the hell are we doing?"
Yeah.
Once the shock value kind of clears off, you're like, "Well, at least some of us, not all of us, are going, well, okay, I can kind of see it."
I think, too, if he takes over, and which do we know when he takes over?
It's gonna be after the Gold Cup. That was another thing they said, where BJ is going to.
I hope that guy
lead
wins
the
the
team
Gold Cup.
during.
I hope BJ wins the
Right.
Gold Cup.
Well, it's a completely different squad. We even talked about that.
Right.
Like the squad that played against Mexico, most of them aren't there.
Right.
Completely.
But I still hope he wins it, just because
absolutely.
the interim won 2 trophies and
Right.
then was replaced.
I mean,
Right?
and
That's
Gregg
awesome.
Gregg won the first Nations League and the first Gold Cup, or the Gold Cup. So Gregg did win both of these that they're going for again this year. But yeah, they're basically going to not bring him on or not have him fully up to speed and behind the bench until after this year's Gold Cup.
So I guess where I'm also going to is if Gregg takes over and then immediately the bed, and he's not going to be there come World Cup.
Well, right now his deal's through the 2026 World
I
Cup.
know, but who cares about contracts when the team is in the basement?
Yeah, but then you've
right?
lost
But
time.
you're really-
I mean, this
but you're
is
not-
what I
that's
don't
fair.
understand. Like, it from a risk analysis side of things, if you're the person whose job is to hire this dude, if you go for broke and try something that doesn't work out, it's one thing. If you bring in the same old and it doesn't go well or goes just as well but no better, I feel like there's a lot more to lose, and I think there's more to lose with Berhalter than there is to gain.
Well, it's okay. They're talking to Zinedine Zidane on the side, so it'll be all right. Or who was the other one? Ancelotti?
Yeah.
Well, there was the dude but the realistic ones was the guy from Philadelphia, right? That was one. Jesse Marsh was another.
Curtin, yeah. Jim Curtin, but
Jesse Marsh would have been a terrible person to do.
You're just not going to if you already have that bond with the players and you can kind of progress forward and everybody's thinking in the same line. The odds are better that you're going to do better with that cohesiveness that kind of runs throughout the team, opposed to kind of upturning that. Not what I say earlier.
What did you say? Upcreasing.
Upcreasing instead of increasing. There hasn't been a name that has been said besides the pipe dream of a name where I've been like, oh, okay, good point. Yeah, it's
that's fine, but I'll go with what Kyle from the World Soccer Talk folks that we enjoy said, which is that Matt Crocker discussed an extensive process to hire. It took Berhalter. How extensive of a process, he says, was it to land on the same coach 6 months prior?
Well, I mean, it just means that the candidates that they were going for weren't candidates that they thought were better.
Well, and actually, if you head over to U.S. Soccer, there's a breakdown of the rigorous process in the search for the U.S. men's national team coach. There's a lovely chart here that goes the head coach role, top priority. There's a column that says lead, a thing that says guide. You go down decision-making resources. They have data, research, physiometrics. They have all this stuff. There's an article. Now, this is coming from obviously U.S. Soccer that's backing. It's going to back their sporting director and highlight all the good things and the things that kind of went through there. But a lot of these intangibles here probably don't have the things of having that rapport with the players and that sort of thing. So, again, it's a shock value name to hear out that, we were going on this process and there was going to be this new sporting director and he was going to go through this hiring process and it's going to be rigorous. And then, it's the same person that we just had in there as of January.
To me, I think that's the overall problem is it just feels like U.S. Soccer not stepping forward.
Right. But would we have felt this way had the Gio Reyna thing not happened after the World Cup? His deal was done anyways, and then we extended him for another 3 years. Would anybody have had this kind of?
I actually think more people
quite as much. Quite as much, probably a bit, but not where it was all those things that we just said now tied into. Now we just bring the same person back.
I think it's fair to say that there are people that don't like the strategies and tactics, and I think that's fair because it's not
sure
the U.S. doesn't under Gregg Berhalter, our soccer is not always sexy.
No.
Right. So I can understand that. But the results are what the results are. And like I said earlier, you can say that he's only the most winning coach of the USA by a margin, but the margin exists. He set goals, he accomplished the goals. I don't think this is a terrible shout.
We're going to find out.
Yeah, we are.
I just think we're going to pay the price for it.
Some would say it's a non-creative decision that mirrors his style of play.
Yes. Yeah. And we'll have to keep hearing about this Reyna crap forever as long as he's there. That's also what I hate. It won't move on.
It's not going to move on unless they both sit at a press conference together and answer and field questions discussing them, which I just don't. If I'm U.S. Soccer, I don't put them up on the podium together.
Gio, USA Today here. On a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a D-bag is your dad? Would you rate your mom a Karen level 11 or lower? I'd like to do that. I'd like to do that one.
These cameras and mics actually weren't here. What is your real thought on Gregg Berhalter?
I want to see Gregg Berhalter just nod to someone in the crowd and Trent Krim from the Independent.
Yeah.
I would like to know exactly how much playing time you think you're going to give Gio Reyna. Let's see what happens.
Anybody that dyes their hair that color too, they're going through some stuff in life. Have you seen Gigi Herrera's hair now?
I have not.
You're talking
Oh,
about
God.
half of the U.S. men's
I was gonna say.
national team. Who
No,
have
but
dyed their hair.
I know, but he's one that you're like, wow, that's
So
You gotta be going
did
through some
didn't Aguero go platinum?
Yeah, he's pulling an Aguero. That's totally what it is. Yeah.
Right? Like so many
Yeah.
players have pulled the platinum card.
Hey, man,
Garnacho.
It's like
Pulisic's done it like 3 times.
He currently has it that way, and you're just like, oh my god.
well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
You know
It's
who
gonna be
never
entertaining.
did though?
The good news is 2 of us or 1 of us is going to be able to say, "See, I told you so."
True. Very, very true. Very, very true.
Because if there's one thing we like doing on this pod, it's telling other people what to do.
See, I
Very,
disagree.
very
I
true.
think only one of us will get to say that because you two will get to go. See, it worked out. I don't, unless we win the World Cup and then you're like, see that because I was like, oh, see, we got past group stage.
Well,
I just said the goal has to be easily get past the
yeah,
round of 16.
that should not be in a doubt.
But
if
we'll
if
get
that doesn't occur, I don't then not the right decision.
no, but we'll get drawn to the group of death because they always say that.
I don't know if we can. I don't know if the host country or one of the host countries, the top. I don't know.
It's not usually the group of death for the host
Not
countries. Well,
usually.
we won't. I mean, we're not going to play Mexico. We're not going to play our northern.
Well, we could
or-
play Mexico. We've owned them the past handful of times that we
Not
played.
not in.
No,
We
not
can't.
normal.
We're not going to play them until.
Yeah, you can't with
late
somebody in your
in
same
the-
region, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
So, we're not.
Don't
gonna,
worry, we'll get like a Netherlands, England, and Spain. And be like, "Oh,
Exactly.
I was thinking like Germany.
Right.
Like
Well, Germany's fine now. They're kind of there, but yeah. You know who never dyed their hair though, gents?
Who's that?
Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Look at that
And
segue into the
He's never had
Zlatan
to.
quote.
And you know what? We did not do a pod. So in honor of that, we're going to do a 24-part series, 1 pod, 2 hours in length for every year that he played the game.
oh my god, we're gonna be here forever.
It is going to be just straight love fest for Zlatan. Back in June at 41 years old, he got on a mic at the San Siro and said, "The time has come to say goodbye to soccer, but not to you." That's your Zlatan quote of pod.
Are you going to make a shrine for him?
I've done it before. Don't you tempt me. I have done it before.
Yeah, I was gonna say the lights were off in my office, and he had the
Yep.
little candles.
The
and what was going on.
candles and
I was like, "This is an audio pod.
frame
You
picture.
didn't care. You went straight for it, man." Yeah.
Yeah.
Frame picture.
Yep.
A seance occurred.
A seance for a guy who's alive.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, did he reach out through the ether while he was alive?
He would
You can reach
kick.
out.
He would kick your head through the ether, not reach out. That's how
Mhm,
that would work.
mhm.
Excellent.
41 years old, retired.
Yep. And now he's trying to break into Hollywood movies. Did you guys see
Absolutely.
the whole stunt movie thing that he did?
He
Entertaining.
needs to be a Bond villain or like a right hand man to a Bond villain that kicks the crap
A
out of
henchman.
Bond. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's no way Zlatan Ibrahimovic plays henchman to anyone.
And you don't think he played the Darth Vader to like a kind of that
No.
situation where he's like,
Because
the
you think about
main-
it, he's already been copycatted in Ted Lasso.
yeah, because
That's
guy,
pretty darn good.
Yeah.
the main villain never is a kick ass person in Bond films. Usually,
Could be.
the kick ass guy.
Not
is-
usually. Yeah.
They,
Not usually.
they'd break the mold with Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
No, he's definitely.
Could you imagine
like a Bond
if-
henchman?
If Zlatan was in a Bond film, Ferris would be on the front row. He'd fly to wherever was doing it firstly. If it's debuted in London, he's there. Like it
I had to go to the cardiologist in the morning. Man, my heart just jumped a little bit.
exactly. Like
No. He's a groupie at Zlatan's trailer while filming.
yes. Oh,
I'm getting arrested. Is what's happening. I'm going to tell you that right now.
he's gonna wear a boot.
We're going to have to fly to England and bail
Yeah.
him out. Ferris was arrested at Pinewood Studios.
Exactly.
That would happen. That would happen. You'd lose your mind. That'd be amazing. I mean, I'd be there to see.
I
it.
absolutely would.
Are you kidding?
lose
I
my
think
mind.
I'd fly you over there. I would want to, but I wouldn't watch the movie. I'd just watch your face the whole time. That's what would happen.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
We'll put a little GoPro right on your chest that looks right up at you. Yeah. Like, oh, that's
I
Zlatan.
would die a happy man. I'd say
Zlatan
that
just
much.
kicked Bond in the face, and there's the first tear from Ferris. There we go. We took a whole commentary. That'd be
Tears
amazing.
of joy, tears of sadness, just all around great tears.
Well, hey, from great tears to good beers. The beer of the pod today was, how's that for a segue? Gaddy Light from Gatlinburg Brewing Company. It was a pleasure to be able to enjoy a beer with you gents again, the same one.
Absolutely. Damn good light beer. Very, very good.
Thank you, Mary and Brandy, for bringing us these beers.
Yes,
for
thank
bringing
you,
us beers from Gatlinburg. And follow us on Twitters and the Facebooks and all the, social. Follow us on Untapped, which annoyingly we can no longer share our Untapped stuff to Facebook and Twitter. Which I think
tried that the other
annoying.
day. I was like, oh, the thing's still there. Share it to Instagram stories, and I did it, and it says this app is no longer supported with Instagram stories.
Yeah, they took it off. So that's annoying. So you have to just follow us for real on Untapped. But you should, because it's a fun, great way to find out about beers. And you know what? It's all about beers and not other stupid things that are on social media. So it's actually, I find it the most pleasurable of my social media things.
Also, one cool thing about the app that I use in the States a lot is the discover beer places near me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to Billings, Montana, I just popped open the app and said, what's near me? And all these different places sprung up that I ended up going to. Same thing, Huntsville, Alabama. So check it out.
Whenever
I
we
will
make
be
our
in someplace called something, Pennsylvania, middle of nowhere.
whenever we go,
Farmington, Pennsylvania.
Farmington?
Okay.
Any good breweries there?
Ooh.
I have to go. I have to refresh my memory.
Okay.
What side of the state is it on?
No,
Pittsburgh or
70
Philly?
miles from Pittsburgh.
Oh, so I don't know that side of Pennsylvania
Okay,
very well. But there's a ton of good.
I'm gonna
beer.
have to try that
in the
when
Pittsburgh
I'm there.
area.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll find a ton over there. I use that thing a ton when first hanging out in Knoxville just to like find places. Yeah, Untapped rules. You could also sponsor us, Untapped. We'd take that as well.
Oh, absolutely. We'd love that.
The sponsorship pod.
Yeah, tell your friends about us. Share us on their social medias. Give us a review, and if you do leave a podcast review, make sure you get a screen grab. Send it to us via DM or something, or the brewtifulgame@gmail.com, and we will get you something fun in the mail to you. Trivia, not trivia. A stat information from earlier in the pod. Ferris, to answer you, the Wolves' majority owner is actually a Chinese businessman from the Fosun group. Yep. So it's
But he's being invested by.
predominantly owned by a Chinese group, but not Saudi Arabian. But I did check.
Kind of a real quick side note, as of like 2024, 25, the betting and wagering sponsorships on their shirts will no longer be allowed on their shirts anymore.
Oh, I saw that. That's huge.
Yeah, very, very huge. And it's big over there, right? You have Paddy Power, and you have
1, 2, 3 bet.
Betfair 1, 2, 3, or Bet 1, 2, 3, and those type of things. It's very big over there. And they have a couple
Hollywood
of shirt
bets.
sponsors. West Ham has it on theirs. The Wolves has it on theirs. Leicester, I think, might have had that. There's a few that have it that I can't think of offhand. Bournemouth, I think, had it. But yeah, as of like 2024, 25, no more betting sponsorships on any of their kits.
Speaking of sponsorships, did you see that Paramount Plus got denied for being a kit sponsor on with Chelsea? Because they were supposed to take over from the current sponsor 3, Paramount Plus was. And it's funny, the Premier League had to go, it's Chelsea. I don't know if you know about, there's a joint across the street called the United States of America, and all their games are streamed through NBC, Comcast, Universal, Peacock. And you cannot have a competitor to that slapped.
It'd be
on
one
the
thing if
front.
they were in the Champions League, because the Paramount Plus has the Champions League.
Right.
Give me a
Well, and there we go. Oh,
No, that's not it.
Nope.
I don't know them. I don't know those. Hold on. There it is. I was one button off.
but like it's interesting because I mean, I wondered that. Like, well, could you do that if it's the Champions League or something? But I guess because that's the kit sponsor anyway. That just popped up, and I thought, well, isn't that interesting? Little tidbit for you. All right, gentlemen, I got something I got to tell you.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready for it?
go.
To be honest, I thought the whole Paramount
That's what I
Chelsea
thought. I
thing
thought it was going that
was
route,
totally it.
Nope, that's for real. That happened.
That's awesome.
So, guys, I have a story for you.
Yes.
An ancient Greek walks into his tailor's shop with a pair of torn pants. Euripides, says the tailor. Yeah, Eumenides, replies the man.
Good job.
I knew Ron would love that one as
Good
soon as I
job.
found that one.
Well done. Well done. So can I just tell one quick story? I know we're dragging this pod on for friggin' ever.
We were going to do it
But-
fairs. We had the hour 15-minute mark. We were going to do it.
We had it. We had it.
Oh, well. So we had my wife and I are expecting at the end of July.
Have we said that in the
And-
pod?
I don't think
Yeah,
we have.
I think we
Have
talked
we?
about it.
I think it was a slight mention.
was just a quick
we
mention.
might not have.
I don't know. I don't remember it, Ron.
Anyway, so we had a baby shower over the weekend, and a friend of mine who is probably the smartest yet nerdiest person I have ever had the pleasure of getting to know. And when I say nerdiest, I mean like zeros and ones nerdy, not Star Wars, Lord of the Rings nerdy, right? He bought my kid a book that teaches about chipsets in computers, like Andor gates and things like that, which is, I mean, pretty nerdy by itself, computer nerd, right? But he writes in this book, be sure to explain to the baby, to expose the baby to non-Euclidean geometry, which is not covered in this text. It made me howl for like 15 minutes straight when I read it, because this dude is so nerdy about Pythagorean's theorem and all that kind of stuff. Oh my God. It made me pee. It was so freaking funny. Who writes in a baby book, be sure to expose him to non-Euclidean geometry? Oh, good times.
From ancient Greek dad jokes to nerdy math and physics things. Well, that's a good way to end this pod. We go out a little highbrow.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, sorry, I just woke up. Guys.
Pinkies up, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Love the beer. Cherish the game. The Brewtiful Game.
Gaddy Light.
Did we announce the baby's name yet?
Mm-mm.
William.
We're still between
No.
three of them.
No. It's William Effin Sharp Keller. We've decided. That's it.
Short for Billy.
That's
Short
right.
For Billy. Who just got? Oh, wait, hold on. You do not end this pod. You do not end right now. Sheffield United. Screw them. They Ashley hatched him and they cut him.
Yeah.
How do you cut Billy Sharp when they're coming up to the Premier League?
Because isn't he like 90?
I don't know, but Orlando City better be unveiling that kit soon. Good night, everybody.
Good night.